Welcome back to the Listening Post's year-end countdown of 2008's most covered news stories. We're into the top 5 now, and at number 5 is the war in Afghanistan, down 1 place from last year. But with U.S. President-elect Barack Obama promising to move troops from Iraq into Afghanistan, this story is what you would call a grower. Afghanistan continues to be one of the most dangerous countries to report from. So dangerous that few Western news outlets maintain a permanent presence there.
Certainly the danger has had an absolutely deadening effect. It's an area of great concern now, not only for killing, but for kidnapping and hostage-taking. We've had a spike of kidnapping lately, which seems to be driven by money more than anything else.
And coverage of Afghanistan lacks one vital ingredient: hard information. Like Iraq, Afghanistan does not supply official figures for civilian deaths. We know how many foreign soldiers are killed there.
In Afghanistan, a militant attack killed 9 soldiers at a U.S. base today.
There's plenty of coverage of that, but civilians are a different story, a non-story. Number 4 now, and the most expensive sporting event the world has ever seen. For the global media, the Beijing Olympics of 2008 were a huge challenge as they tried to report from one of the world's most censored countries. Not all was what it seemed. From the fireworks to the lip-sync scandal, and sometimes it seemed that what was happening on the track, the field, and in the pool took a back seat to the bigger political story.
Month of 2008, the Olympic Games have officially begun.
It was called China's coming out party, and the global news media were among the invited guests.
Basically, if the Chinese government had not guaranteed, quote, complete press freedom for foreign journalists, they would not have gotten the Olympics.
The Olympic coverage got political long before the Games began. There were those protests during the torch relay. The coverage of the demonstrations in Tibet, and then the Tibet protests in Beijing during the Games.
Before the game, 93% of all the international coverage was about Tibet, press freedom, and human rights.
Are you arresting me? No, I want to talk. I want to talk. I'm a journalist.
However, once the competition started, critical coverage mostly took a back seat, except for 2 glaring incidents.
Where some scenes illusions. Chinese officials explained some video of fireworks was pre-recorded.
Yesterday, the fake fireworks were exposed. Today, it seems, it's the bogus singing.
The opening celebrations, 95% of all coverage on China was just great, fabulous, positive. And the only issues were the little girl doing lip sync and the digitized fireworks.
Food shortages and oil price spikes were the warning signals of worse to come. But when the global economic crisis finally hit Wall Street, the global media were faced with an incredibly complicated story that few journalists had anticipated and fewer could actually make sense of. The credit crunch didn't even make the list in 2007. In 2008, it was at number 3 with a bullet.
Major crisis for the United States and for the world.
Another turbulent day on the world's financial markets.
The free fall of the global financial markets had media around the world snapping to attention. Unfortunately, it was a case of too little, too late.
It isn't just a story that they could have reported on today. They could have been reporting on this for years. The elements that have led to the position we are today, where markets are panicked, has been in a long time developing. We've known about these basic underlying problems for years.
Financial shockwave spread.
And yet the media are reporting on it as if this is the latest breaking scandal.
There were some rare instances when the media warned of a financial crisis to come. Back in August of 2007, Jim Cramer, the uncrowned drama queen of primetime business television, raged at the U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke for ignoring the dangerous track the financial markets were on.
He has no idea. These firms are going to go out of business, and he's nuts. They're nuts. They know nothing.
In the case of the investment banks, did journalists smell a rat and go into it in detail? The answer is no, we did not. And we did not for the simple reason that nobody else did.
The financial crisis has come at a cost to the reputations of the financial media. In its year-end issue, the august business publication, The Economist, apologized for not having foreseen the global economic crash.
At the end of it all, if there's one lesson we get out of economic history, it's that we're always trying to solve the previous problem, and the new problem that hits us usually takes us by surprise.
Bottom line, no one should be surprised if that happens again. Items 1 and 2 on our countdown have switched places since 2007. Back then, the war in Iraq topped our list. 1 year on, it's at number 2. And even though it was still the runner-up, far fewer stories are coming out of Iraq these days and making it onto your television screens. Iraq coverage was down for two main reasons. One, the story was overshadowed by the race for the White House, and two, the reduction of violence in Iraq.
Part of news is what's new, and there's not a lot new in Iraq, aside from a tragedy occurring periodically, as has been happening now for 5 years.
Iraq is still a dangerous place, but what violence remains was not enough to keep the interest of Western news organizations. Much of the ongoing Iraq story was reflected through the prism of American politics and the presidential election. Iraq coverage also spiked with the release of the Petraeus report, when the American commander in Iraq reported back to Congress. Another surge in coverage came late this year, when an Iraqi reporter threw a pair of shoes at President Bush. He was thrown in jail. However, the protests that followed suggested that while the shoe thrower may have lacked diplomatic skills, he was absolutely in step with the mood of the Iraqi public. Our final story is the media monster that we all saw coming. The U.S. presidential elections were the most covered elections ever. Just to give you an idea, a total of 6.5 million minutes of airtime around the world. And on election day and the day after, there were an average of 21 TV news items per second going out around the world. The U.S. election, our #1 most covered news story of 2008. Americans were voting, but this was a global story. From New York to Saudi Arabia. The world had a lot riding on the presidential election.
And CNN can now project that Barack Obama, 47 years old, will become the president-elect of the United States.
Everyone knew that Barack Obama had won the election, and you saw split screens from Harlem to Chicago to Kenya that gave you, I think, an indication of how historic the night turned out to be.
The international media has been obsessed with these elections. People across the world really felt a sense of ownership, so it really did feel like a global election.
After having gorged on the election story for the better part of 2 years,
You check out this technology, Brett.
the U.S. networks had the graphics working overtime on election night to pull in the 71 million American viewers up for grabs.
Right now, I want you to watch what we're about to do, because you've never seen anything like this on television.
I wondered how many employees had to get laid off for CNN to afford the holograms that they were using. That was a bit over the top.
But funky news graphics aside, the 2008 election was less about the mainstream media than it was about new media and the tools the Obama campaign mastered.
We believe in the grassroots. We believe a contact between a human being and another human being is the best political contact there is.
And Obama connected with enough voters, almost 67 million of them, to win.
Change has come to America.
That's it, our countdown of 2008's most covered news stories. We'll leave you with a greatest hits list of the most popular viral videos of this year that we featured as our Internet Videos of the Week, from the U.S. elections to the Beijing Olympics and all kinds of stories in between. These virals reflect some of 2008's biggest news stories, and we'll be here at the Listening Post covering the coverage for all of the big stories of 2009.
It was a creed written into the founding documents that declared the destiny of a nation. Yes, we can.
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks. Yeah.
What's up with you? Still in Iraq. Watching my ass. Yo, pick up the phone. So what's up, B? Change.